Update with the Brexit renewals. What do I mean by Brexit renewals? I mean everybody who declared, or British citizens who declared their right to live in Spain under Article 18.4 of the Withdrawal Agreement before Brexit and are now resided here in Spain, and all these cards are now coming up for renewal. So we've got a bit of news for you about what's been happening last week and this week, so stick around. Okay, so we're going to get straight into it, and just to give a bit of a recap first of all, basically, if you lived in Spain as a British citizen before the 31st of December 2020, then you had to declare your right within the withdrawal agreement to stay here and continue to live here. Believe it or not, that right actually continued after the 1st of January, and there's still today, if you qualify on the platform, you can still submit an application. You'd be very, very lucky to actually go back 5 years and prove that you still qualify under the withdrawal agreement. But anyway, we're going to park that to one side. What I want to talk about today is the people whose card is coming up for expiry. It's so many of you now whose card are coming up for expiry and you need to renew. And I want to let you know what's been happening with us this week. Okay, then. So first of all, let's just go back to before Brexit, before June 2020, and everybody who was living here before as a British citizen would have been considered a European citizen, and we had these kinds of residency cards. These residency cards, as you can see, well, this one's actually from 2024, but they were exactly the same. Basically declared your right to live here. This was the registry for European citizens. So it's Registro de Ciudadano de la Unión. So we had those registration cards. Didn't come with a photo, didn't come with anything, because at that point, we had permission to be here because of our status as European citizens, and we just had to register that status. That all changed in around June 2020, when basically Boris Johnson declared there wasn't going to be an extension to the withdrawal agreement, and that meant that all British citizens from the 1st of January onwards would be considered third country nationals. Well, third country nationals in Spain need permission to actually live here. Now, that permission may come in the form of a visa, the form of being an EU family member, in many forms that can come. You can declare your permission to be here. It's so many different platforms. But for British citizens, that meant that they had to change their green card or exchange their green card for one of these, which is a TIE card. So there you go. You can see that's a TIE card. That's what it looks like. And it doesn't say registro, it says permiso, because as third country nationals, we need permission to be in Spain. We don't just have to come and register. Okay, there's a bit of a difference in the wording. You got to think that a European citizen has permission to be here. They can just turn up, be here, start work without even getting their registration done. In fact, they can use work as part of the registration, whereas a third country national needs that permission. It's on all of our cards. I've got mine here somewhere. Where we are. There we go. Permiso de residencia. It says it right at the top. So everybody who was living here before with the green cards had the opportunity to go and do an appointment called a toma de huella, taking of the fingerprints, exchange their green card for a TI card, like what I did, and then we have our permission to live here. If you hadn't had your green card for 5 years, you would have got a temporary card, which lasted for 5 years. And if you had your card for more than 5 years or were already a permanent European resident, you would have got a 10-year card, like what I did. Like what I've got. Sorry, that's terrible English, wasn't it? For the people who had the green card for, say, 2 or 3 years and then got a 5-year TIE card, which now may be running out in this year, 2026, or maybe if you left it really late, 2027, there has been an opportunity to switch that card early. In some of the police stations, we've done so many here in Malaga, and we're continuing to do them in Malaga. That said, there has now been, and we have been informed in places like Alicante, in other police stations of Malaga, that they are no longer accepting the early exchange of these cards. Now, this is wrong. They should do really, because you've got the right to exchange to a permanent residency after 5 years of living here, albeit that your TIE card maybe expires in 2 or 3 years' time. And there are certain benefits that come with being a permanent resident. And we know it can be done. Basically, they explained it to us in Malaga that what they have to do is they have to go into the system, check the original date that the green card was issued, check that it was 5 years ago, effectively cancel the current card you've got, and then issue a new one, which automatically kicks out the permanent card. But it's more a political thing, really, whether the police station wants to do it or not. And we've made it. We've been told that there has been a notification sent from the Central Estanqueria in Madrid not to do these kinds of renewals. As I said, we're still doing them in Malaga. They may just turn that tap off any day of us, but until they do, we're going to continue to use Malaga City for those kind of renewals. Remember, you have to renew in the province where you live. So other provinces, you might find this a little bit difficult. But anyway, what is the big update? Well, the big update is for people who didn't have the green card before they got their TIE card. So for people who didn't have their green card before they got their TIE card, people who came to Spain after June of 2020, or may have been living here but hadn't declared their residency as European citizens and didn't do so until after June of 2020, you then had to apply to the subdelegation, of the government, the immigration department, to get an approval before you could get your TIE card. And that approval was called a resolution. So there was a huge amount of resolutions issued after the July of 2020 and all the way up to the end of the year and beyond. Okay. Most of those resolutions, albeit some of them took months to come out, actually were issued from the date that you submitted the application. So even if you submitted the application in July and the resolution didn't come out till the December, for example, it would have been backdated to start in the July. Hence why at this point in time, we're absolutely stacked now with the first people whose cards are expiring who had resolutions. All right, so that started for us. The first cards expired with resolutions at the end of July, and we've had our first appointment for resolution renewals last week, today. Well, yes, last week, yesterday, and today. And this is the big news, because we didn't know up to this point what they were going to be asking for. We suspected, and we were told by the Extranjería, the Comisaría, which is the place where you go to do your fingerprint appointment here in Malaga, that they had spoken to the Extranjería, which is the subdelegation of the government in charge of issuing them in the first place, that this was going to be a simple process at the police station where you basically just updated your card. But we didn't know until we did the first one. Well, the great news is we have now done them in Benalmádena, Fuengirola, Marbella, and Malaga, people who never had the green card, who had the resolution, and it's absolutely fine. The system is working well, as long as your card has now expired. You cannot do it until your card expires. There's a lot of noise out there, people protesting because there's information saying you can do it 60 days before, you can do it 30 days before. I'm sorry, but their system just does not permit you to do that. That's what they told us was going to happen, and it has happened. And now we've done it for people whose card expired in July. We've got them appointments at the beginning of August. We've been, and you've been able to get them updated. So that's great news. Okay, the first resolution people have now got their permanent residencies. As for the requirements, well, at the moment, they're not currently requiring any healthcare proof or any proof of means to live. So you don't have to present anything which proves how you're receiving healthcare in Spain and how you're supporting yourself economically in Spain, which was a big question that we all had. Will this change? We don't know, but I very much doubt it's going to change now. I don't think it's going to change because the people at the desks who do the fingerprint appointments, the Tom of the Wayers, aren't qualified to qualify the documents if they were told that they had to bring them. So they would have to retrain those staff, or they would have to completely change the process and make you apply at the subdelegation of the government before getting your fingerprint. And now that we've done the first ones, I honestly just don't think that is going to happen. So beneficiaries of the withdrawal agreement who got the resolution, very, very lucky, same as the green card people, because we're not being asked for any requirements at all to switch to permanent. And this isn't even the case with Europeans. Europeans, when they switch to permanent, still have to prove how they're supporting themselves in Spain and how they're getting their healthcare in Spain, and also the same for their beneficiaries. So this is absolutely fantastic news for everybody. Now, in terms of the requirements, right, well, you have to go, there's three main things that you have to do. Evidently, you have to bring a photo with you, okay, which is the small cabinet size photos. You have to bring your passport with you as well, which must be in date. It doesn't matter if you've changed it from your previous passport, that will be renewed. You also have to take your application forms. There's been a lot of misunderstanding out there about they're asking for an EX17 form. I've seen a lot on forums saying they're wrongly asking for a EX17 form. We've done quite possibly close to 100, right? Quite possibly close to 100 of these exchanges. We have never, ever been asked for an EX17 form. So I don't know where that's coming from. I've seen noise on other websites, but I don't know. Always used the EX23, never had a problem, and that's the EX23 document that you need to use, which explains at the top the solicitud de tarjeta artículo 18.4 del acuerdo de retirada. Okay, you also need to have a model 790012. They've actually updated the wording on that online document to include Brexit. So it now says, I'm not going to read it all out to you, but you'll see at the bottom it says TIE asociada al acuerdo de retirada de ciudadanos británicos y sus familiares. So it's very, very clear what tax you have to pay. That tax suddenly sits at 12 euros. So there we go. Application form, taxes paid, passport, photo, and if you've updated your address or changed your address since the first time that you registered, you will need to bring a certificate, a padrón certificate, certificado de empadronamiento, okay, which shows your new address and it's dated within the last 90 days. All right, with that, you hand it all over and you get a resguardo, which looks like one of these. This is the temporary new TIE card while your new one is being produced. Okay, so yeah, and the TIE cards at the moment coming out in around 30 days. Okay, I'm going to talk to you about the appointments in a minute, but just before I do that, I just want to ask you a quick question. If you don't mind, please, guys, if you are not a subscriber to the channel and you like the content and you want to see more, hit the bell and please subscribe. It's absolutely free, as you can see, and we are targeting 60% content being watched by subscribers. That has gone up since I've started doing this section to the videos by 3.7%, because it was exactly at 50% last month. So more and more people who have subscribed to the channel are actually watching the channel now, so that's absolutely great. But we want to try and get that to 60%. So hit the bell, hit subscribe. It is free, and thank you very much. And total disclaimer as well, we are a business. So I actually had a comment on one of my videos saying, oh, you're only doing this video to get business. Absolutely. Yes, we are. I look through the videos on the channel. We are a business. We assist people here in Malaga to get their renewals. So if you can't be bothered to do this yourself, you want us to do all the paperwork for you, check your documents, fill out the forms, pay the taxes, and go with one of our appointment specialists to the appointment to sit next to you to go through the process to make sure your renewal goes smoothly, that you can contact us using the link below in the bio. Okay, and you can also book a call if you want. Here we go. Let's get the QR code up here in the corner, so you can book a call with us there if you want to discuss your renewal, drop us an email to support@upsticks.es or use the link below in the bio to contact us. Okay, so that is what we do. Don't forget, we also help people with the NLB and EU citizens with EU family members. Okay, then, where were we? In terms of the appointments, right? Again, a lot of noise out there, guys, about there's no appointments, blah, 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 blah. There is appointments. There really is appointments. You've just got to be constantly checking. Okay, depending on which province you're on, it could be harder than others. Almeria, Huelva, Jaén, Valencia, all provinces which I have to admit are really, really difficult to get appointments. And it really, really helps if you've got a digital certificate, because when you come to book your appointment, you get two options, one with digital certificate, one without. And in those regions where it's a lot more difficult, in Almeria, for example, you can only get an appointment with digital certificate. You cannot get an appointment now without one. But they do come up, they do come available. So just be persistent. Areas like Spain, like Malaga, for example, which is our big catchment area for us because we're based in Malaga for the withdrawal agreement applications and the renewals. Sorry, we're getting appointments. That's it. But you've got to get in early. If your cards are running out in October, November, December, January of next year, let us know now because we need to get you on that list. Because yesterday I was booking appointments already for October for people, and you don't want to let the card go over 90 days after expiry. You want to be doing your renewal within those 90 days after the expiry of the card. Check my notes out now. What else we got here? I think that's about it. So far, so good. We have to say a big thank you to the commissariat here in Malaga. They have kept us on top of all of this the whole time. They've been working with us, and we can't thank them enough. They do get a lot of bad press at times, and we know it can be quite stressful for people going to these appointments because it's quite intimidating going to one of these police stations, having to give you fingerprints, etc. Don't forget, we've got appointment specialists which help you with that. We do book your appointments for you, but more than anything, we can't thank them enough because even yesterday I was in Marbella and they were great. Absolutely fantastic. Went, oh, it's the first one we're doing of these now. This is great. It just all comes up nice and easy. Thank you very much. One last point that I have got, and this is something that's been coming up with children. So we had quite a few kids going through who were under 18 before Brexit, and came with family and stuff like that, and now children have come of age, okay, and they're now actually considering maybe leaving Spain and going to study elsewhere, with a view to maybe not coming back to Spain ever. If your children or any family members have got a temporary residency card within the withdrawal agreement which expires soon, and this is unfortunate because some of them are expiring in September, October, and there's some kids which are leaving Spain, or say kids, young people I should say, not kids, young people who are leaving Spain to go and study elsewhere, maybe the UK, and that coincides with their renewal, so they can't get it done unless they fly back to get it done. You can still do that. I think it's a good idea to get them a permanent card, because albeit you might have an 18 or a 19-year-old now who was a minor when they first came, who now decided, you know what, I want to go to the UK to study, go to uni, I'm not coming back to Spain. I would get them their permanent card, okay, because who knows, they can be up to 5 years outside of Spain without losing that permanent status, which is something they can't do on the temporary card. And who knows what's going to happen in those 5 years. They may go to uni, they may fall in love, they may have kids, they may want to move back to Spain, they may decide not to, and in that circumstance just not renew their permanent card. But I think getting a permanent residency, even if you think your intention is not to stay in Spain, because the amount of time it allows you to be out of Spain, is a good idea. With all these things as well, there are people who have been out of Spain and decided to come back and get a chance their arm at renewing because they've got a TIE card, which they never declared they weren't living in Spain, or they've been out of Spain 2 or 3 years. In theory, you shouldn't be allowed to renew, but nobody seems to be kicking people off the system. What we advise everybody to do who might be in an irregular situation but still attempting to get a permanent card is maybe just check with a tax advisor to make sure you've got no liabilities that way as well. All right, then. So that's it. Remember, guys, on a Thursday at 6 p.m., we do our weekly updates every single week where we talk everything about visas, withdrawal agreement, residency, YouTube comments, comments from our colleagues here in the office. Jane says we have news items. We also have stuff that people send in to us to talk about Spain. We talk about food. It goes on for about an hour, and they're getting ever more popular, those weekly blogs. Check out our podcasts that we have and all of our random shorts, which most of the time I record when I'm out and about and see something interesting. That's our update. Cheers for now, and keep tuned for more.